I'm Dina Rooney, formerly known as Dr. Dina Rooney. I grew up in Stark County, actually graduated from Jackson High School. Over the last decade before I retired in 2016, I specialized in women's cancers, so breast and other gynecologic cancers. The financial stress of cancer now has a term. It's called financial toxicity, and it's considered a side effect of cancer. So in the last 5 years, this term has started showing up in reports, and they are describing financial toxicity as the new side effect of cancer treatment. It's not really new. I think it's just more acknowledged and recognized because of the absolute prominence of financial stress to cancer patients.
I'm Nicole Haynes. I am the Senior Director of Cancer Services at Mercy. I have been at Mercy since 2001, and I've been in oncology since 2009. I don't think people always realize how hard it is to get through a cancer journey. About 51% of cancer patients are struggling. They incur medical debt, but 42% of them completely deplete their assets during their cancer journey. And about 60% of patients say they find it difficult to afford their bills. More than 80% say they've made a financial sacrifice during the course of their treatment. And sometimes when we have a debt, we're like, well, we all make financial sacrifices, right? We can't afford everything we want. Maybe I scale back on my internet, or maybe I scale back on my cell phone, or whatever. When we're talking about financial sacrifices for our patients, we're talking about things like, am I going to buy groceries, or am I going to pay a copay? Am I going to buy a prescription, or am I going to put gas in the car? And if I choose the prescription, how am I going to get there to get it because I have no gas in the car?
My name is Ellie Russ. I'm born and raised in Canton. I graduated from Perry High School and Mount Union College, which is now university. Then went to medical school at American University of the Caribbean and did my residency training here in town at Altman and Mercy Hospital. And ultimately, I knew that I always wanted to come back to Canton and serve the community that helped raise me. Well, I would say the unique thing about radiology is it's literally black and white. I am looking at images where I obviously realize that there is a person behind those images, but the neat thing about it is I don't know if that person's rich or poor, if they are truly black or white. I look at every image as though it's a family member, and I want to give each image, each scan, each patient the same care that I would give to a family member.
Peter Spicagna, General Manager at Lexus of Akron Canton. I've been here for about 8.5 years. Born and raised in the Cleveland area. Live in the Hudson area with my wife and 2 boys. My wife is a 2-time cancer survivor. We were just dating when she got diagnosed. This is going back to 1996. It was a shock. She was in her mid-20s. And then about 5-6 years ago, she got a second bout. Caught early, preventative, and then catching it early. Early detection is key, and she did great with it. But obviously that's near and dear when I hear anything that benefits cancer, supporting women with cancer specifically, with knowing her history, is obviously critical. To us being part of this Mercy Hospital initiative every year, and it's really to support women who are afflicted by cancer and diagnosed with cancer, not just the treatment of cancer, but the support they need. It's an emotional roller coaster.
I saw people that had to keep working regardless of how sick they were because they would lose their jobs or lose their insurance, perhaps for themselves or their whole family. Even a bigger deal for single women, as many times single women are the sole breadwinner, the person that carries the insurance, etc.
The National Cancer Institute reports that approximately the average spent in the first year after a cancer diagnosis, the cost of care is $42,000 in that year. And Medicare patients, everybody thinks, oh, you have Medicare, you're covered. Well, that's not exactly true. Medicare covers 80%. So you have another 20%. 20% of $42,000 is a lot of money. And maybe you don't pay quite that much, but it's about 10% of Medicare patients are spending 60% of their monthly income on medical expenses. So even if you have Medicare, even if you have insurance, most insured people spend a minimum of $500 a month on cancer care. And that's if you have good insurance. What if you have lousy insurance, or you have an $8,000 deductible and you have to meet that every year? So the first year you're in cancer treatment and you're going to spend a minimum of $8,000 before you even get all the help that you need from your insurance. Then the next year you have surveillance and follow-up, and you're still going to have to spend that $8,000. Who can afford to spend $8,000 every single year on their health care? Once you have a cancer diagnosis, you're going to spend that every single year if that's your deductible.
In 2018, within 1 month of each other, I found cancer in both my aunt and my grandmother. And I'm very close with both of them. It was a really unique situation in that I knew immediately what I was seeing, and so much flashed before my eyes. As far as I knew what that diagnosis was going to mean to them, what it was going to mean to the rest of the family, and how was I going to tell them. Telling each of them what I had seen was probably the two hardest conversations I've ever had in my entire life. The good that came out of it was, I think it made me a better physician, because I saw how much it affected the rest of the family. It's not just the patient, it's the spouse, it's the children, it's the friends. Everyone is affected by that diagnosis. And even going forward from that, seeing the anxiety that comes along with getting a biopsy or having a scan done. I might do, as a physician, I might do 5 biopsies in a day, and I might read 100 scans. But to that patient, that's the biggest thing in their day and potentially even their life. And I really try and carry that going forward, knowing what a big deal it is.
My name is Maria Morales and I am from Puerto Rico. In 2019, when I was in Puerto Rico, they told me that I had a problem but didn't know it was cancer until I came to Virginia in September. I went to see the doctor because I wasn't feeling well, and that's when they started running tests. They were the ones that told me that I had cancer. My husband didn't speak English, my kids didn't speak English, so we were here and we tried to understand, but just couldn't. I have a nephew that lives in Virginia that speaks English, and he was telling me what the doctors were saying. Then we moved here to Ohio, and now my husband speaks a little more English, and my kids understand it more, but I still don't understand much. But thanks to Rocio, my interpreter, I now know what I'm dealing with, understanding it. I still have not told my husband or my kids the whole story. They don't know the state of cancer that I have.
The real purpose for Wine, Women, and Shoes is to try to help people improve their quality of lives by getting them what they need. People still need to buy groceries. Sometimes they need to buy very specific things in nutritional supplements. Some drugs even are not covered under Medicare because they're for quality of life. So if you're already financially challenged by your medical bills and your furnace breaks down or your water heater explodes, there's not a realistic way to come up with that money. And that's the type of thing that this fund can help people with.
And that's where the funds have come in wonderfully, because we've paid for COBRA, we've paid for monthly insurance, so that people who are on a leave of absence don't lose their benefits. These funds can do that. There are a lot of funds out there that will maybe pay for copays, but it's so much more than copays. It's rent, it's prescriptions, it's supplies, it's utilities, it's gas for the car, it's fixing the car. On multiple occasions, we bought mattresses for women who were sleeping on the floor. nobody should have to sleep on the floor and have cancer. So those are the wonderful things that we do. And we do them because we have donors who care.